We went boondocking for the first time in July, camping with no hookups, and it was hot. We want to tell you guys how it went, and we also want to show some pictures from the 4 national parks that we visited this month. We started July off in Oregon and we ended July in Utah, so we covered a pretty good amount of distance during July. We really enjoyed our time in the Pacific Northwest, catching up with friends and family, and then in July we really hit the road and got to see a lot of cool, unique, and new parts of the world that neither one of us have explored before. Driving and towing our 42-foot fifth wheel has honestly gone really well so far. We bought a truck that can tow basically anything, and it is able to tow 2 of our trailers, so we're only at half of our towing capacity with the trailer we have. The only struggles we've really had with driving and towing have been things out of our control. Things like construction, potholes in the road, or gravel roads that shake the trailer up a lot, and we're just hoping all of our stuff stays in place. Recently though, we did have a run-in with some rough weather and a hailstorm, so we'll have to show you guys that in the next video.
We knew pretty early on that we wanted to be able to boondock in all sorts of new places around the country when we got started, so back in Ellensburg we had to do some upgrades to the RV in order to get ready to be able to live off-grid for any amount of time at all. We upgraded the battery bank and installed an inverter so that we could run our refrigerator and freezer to keep stuff cool while we were camping. We also installed soft starts on our ACs so we could have an air conditioning while we were out boondocking.
Even with all the upgrades to the RV, I think July had it out for us because it was a lot hotter than either one of us expected, and we had to come up with some new ideas to stay cool. One thing we did to beat the heat was go for a drive because the truck has AC that does not rely on a generator, so it keeps us cool. The first place we went to was the Salt Flats to get a closer look at them, and they were absolutely beautiful.
Both of our puppies love car rides, but Daisy loves to jump up front and sit shotgun when we can find a nice quiet dirt road. Sometimes when we're out on these drives, we get lucky enough to see some wildlife. Like when we were in Utah, we got to see some pronghorn deer.
We both really love to go swimming, and a great bonus is that it helps us cool off, especially during these 90 to over 100 degree days. For some reason, our luck hasn't been really great with swimming holes that we've tried to get to. We've tried to get to some where the roads were just too bumpy and we were hitting too many potholes. It didn't feel like our truck was going to make it. We've gotten to some other ones where the water is gross, or even just recently, the whole shoreline on the lake that we went to was lined with dead fish, so not great for swimming. But in Idaho, we did find a really awesome swimming hole called Jump Creek Falls, and we loved both the hike and the swimming hole itself. The hike was so pretty. It started up in kind of an area with drier rocks, and then we walked down into kind of a canyon where we walked along the creek, and it led to a really beautiful spot with a waterfall coming down out of the rocks and just a huge open swimming hole. It was pretty popular. There were a lot of people there, but we couldn't blame them. We were all there for the same reason, to cool down, and we absolutely loved spending a few hours here in the afternoon.
Another activity we really liked that helped cool us down was going to the Lehman Caves while we were at the Great Basin National Park. On average, it's about 50 degrees in there, and it not only cut down on direct sunlight, but it was way, way cooler. We took a guided tour from one of the park rangers, and besides learning about all of the cool features of the cave, we also learned that it was featured in a movie called The Wizard of Mars that they said we should definitely not watch. The first national park we visited was Crater Lake, and even though I've lived in the Pacific Northwest for most of my life, I've never visited, so for my birthday this year, we decided to make the trip.
The second national park we visited was Great Basin National Park, just outside of the town of Baker, Nevada. This area was really beautiful, and we enjoyed exploring it as well as the national park. But Baker is definitely the smallest town either one of us have ever stayed in. I don't remember the exact population, but it was definitely under 100 people. The closest grocery store was over an hour drive away. There was one afternoon that I really wanted a Diet Coke. We checked with the hotel to see if they sold any, and they didn't have anything. They told us we were going to have to go all the way into the national park just to get a soda. Even though the town was small, the national park was huge and had plenty of places for us to explore. We loved driving up to Mount Wheeler, which was over 10,000 feet in elevation, and doing some hikes up at the top of Mount Wheeler. We visited a couple of alpine lakes and got to take in all of the beautiful views of nature, and this was one of our highlights of July. The next place we visited was Arches National Park. We've both heard from friends and family that this is a definite stop, so we went out of our way in our route east to make sure we could stop at Arches. And can I just say that all of the recommendations we received to visit Arches were spot on. We loved all of our hikes at Arches National Park. We visited a couple of the natural arches that are there, balanced rock, and loved our drive around. It really feels like you're stepping into a different planet at Arches, and it's unbelievable around every corner the different rock formations that you see. The fourth and final national park we visited was Canyonlands. This was about a half-hour drive outside of Moab, so it was super close to Arches and perfect for a day trip. I thought it was interesting that the entrances to Canyonlands are all very far apart from each other because it's separated by a massive canyon. So in order to drive from one entrance to the other, you have to drive around the entire canyon, and the entrances are a few hours away from each other. We just got to see a little part of this park, and we loved it. So we're hoping to come back and see some different areas of the park another year in our RV journey.